What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? We're here again. It's tax advice and questions answered per usual, plus and talk about some of the things that are happening right now in the last couple weeks in this world. The first one that's on the tip of my mind that I think you guys are probably thinking about as well is this AI explosion, huh? So I mean, we if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, you saw that, eventually the AI would be so complex one day that it would be able to, take over the world. But now we have ChatGPT, which literally is doing these things. So what started out as, something that can, as of last week, it's ChatGPT. What started out, last week, a few weeks ago, the news was how sophisticated it was at writing up computer programs, as well as, essays for people, wrote books, did all this stuff. But now they're plugging it in to search engines, and it is going to out Google is what they're saying, because ChatGPT should not be able to just find what you need on the internet, but actually execute whatever you're trying to do. For example, they're talking about Nike and a few other companies using ChatGPT for, hey, instead of going onto their website and deciding which one you want, you could plug into the thing, hey, I would like a pair of shoes for my sister. She's into this kind of stuff. And ChatGPT would go through Nike's database and find the pair of shoes that would best fit her. Now, another one that's doing this is OpenTable. I don't know if you guys use them. If you did, you might get their ad that they are partnering up with ChatGPT as well, so that when you want to go out to eat, it's no longer like, well, I have to think of a restaurant and call a few places and see which ones have availability. I'll be able to just type into ChatGPT, what's a restaurant in this price range or this type of food that has availability tonight, and it'll look at every single one in the city and tell me. So serious progress, people. And actually, I always had this thing with OpenTable where I was thinking that, let's say I want to get a table and it's already booked. I was always like, I should be able to pay more to that person to buy their table out from under them. So we'll see how that goes, because they didn't go that way. And I thought that was a great idea. And I would even, start a little app and sell that to them. Believe me, app development is expensive. I'm still building this phone company for the last 5 years. It's faster to build a farm in Africa. No lie. And anyways, so, now they're saying it doesn't matter. You don't have to just be looking at this one restaurant. We'll show all of them to you, know which ones you like from the AI based on the thousands and thousands of data points that they have on everybody. If you're on TikTok right now, if you're on the internet right now, if you exist in the world, that's what Cambridge Analytica showed us a few years ago, is the private companies, they know everything about you, and they geotag you and they follow you around, and they know more about you than you probably know about yourself. And that is scary, but that's why when you see ads on the internet, they're always targeted to you, right? They follow you around from place to place to place. And so this isn't just following you around to advertise, it's following you around to build AI and learn what you like, so that it will advertise to you in a way that's so smart you won't even see it coming. Now, it's brilliant, but it's a little bit scary. And I will answer your questions, guys. Okay, what are you saying? Here, She said, would you trade some food stamps for a pack of Newports? Ooh, I think, you know what, I stopped. I'm trying to stop smoking, honestly. I smoke too much. I don't smoke cigarettes, but I think anything in my lungs is bad. So no, not Newports. But if you wanted to get me a bottle of whiskey, I would trade you the food stamps for them. Okay, love that site. It's great, right? So it started out just by being immensely entertaining. And then they were saying, see, we thought that AI was going to get rid of all the low level jobs, it would order your food for you at McDonald's, blah, 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 which we've seen a little bit, right? You can go to McDonald's in New York City, it's all a computer. But it turns out this sophisticated program is going to take out you know, not just computer programmers, but lawyers and, you know, super high cerebral jobs, because that's what it does best, is think. And so that's it. And okay, Jesus loves you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, thoughts on Paul Breach? What is that?
I don't know.
Hold on. We gotta get context first.
Do you want to also?
As messed up it is, it's like this kind of social media is actually the new place for, you know, if you remember who was Chris Hansen's To Catch a Predator, and they were in those stupid AIM chat rooms. You know, this is the evolution of that. So, do I play snake side or Dorito side? What does that mean? I don't know what that means, but I tell you what is, I like the blue Doritos. The purple ones are not bad. And in fact, is that a mixture of the red and the blue? Because it tastes like it kind of, but I don't like the red ones.
It's very spicy. The purple ones are.
Oh, the
really
purple
good.
one's super spicy.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
We had. Remember last summer we would eat those all the time.
Just as long as it's not that ultimate chip. What was that thing called?
Oh, the one chip challenge.
One chip challenge. I ate that thing, and I'm telling you, I eat spicy food. And I think it was because I ate it on an empty stomach with no water or anything. But I ate it, and for about half an hour it hurt in the mouth. But after that, it started hurting in my stomach, like really bad, like I maced the inside of my belly. I did it here with my friend here at the office, and we're both writhing on the ground in agony because this freaking chip for like an hour, and then we got better, and then it was fine. It was over. But I could see why all the people got taken to the hospital, because it's like, God damn. You might think you were dying for a while, especially if you thought it was only going to last 15, 20 minutes. But I see why I think they got sued a bunch of times. Remember, if they got that for pain and suffering, not taxable. There you go. Bringing it back around. We're bringing it back around. All right, what else, guys? Okay, hold on.
I don't know. There's people standing by the phone.
Yeah, by the way, if you do have a tax issue right now, per usual, I've got people standing by the phone, so you can get a hold of them to get a hold of me, or we can help you out. Filing is this month, so let's get it in the next 2 weeks if you need anything. Okay, GS Alaction says, computers don't have the human aspect of court and delegation. AI should not replace lawyers. I hear you and I agree with you, but here's the thing is, my CFO, who is, he's an attorney and a CPA, his dissertation that he wrote in, I think, accounting school was how AI was, and this was written 5 years ago, was AI was going to disrupt the professional services industry, all of it. And what you can see is it already has started to, with H&R Block and Intuit. These are companies that take something that is traditionally done by people and do it with computers. Now, as someone who works in the industry, I could tell you that absolutely right now with that software, you're going to get better off doing it by yourself. But you know, the IRS itself uses AI to decide when they're going to audit someone, how to accept someone's numbers, whether or not they're in the threshold or not for people in a similar business to you. So AI is not going anywhere. It's going to become more and more useful. But like I was saying, the professional services industry is one that was like the last bastion of humanity, and computers can't take it over. But it is starting to look like it is possible. Now, would the computer deliberate to the judge and be your lawyer? I don't think so yet. But it already has been writing up legal briefs, and this isn't it was doing that a couple updates ago. Okay. Law is precedent, not black and white. That is true. It's not black and white. But if it is precedent, then that is the law, right? So it's the doctrine of stare decisis, right? So we have to go off of what each judge's decision is. Boom, boom, boom. And it goes matters the district and matters the circuit as well. And, doctrine of stare decisis, case precedent says this is how the court decided it before. They should decide it this way again. And it's usually going to happen that way unless it gets appealed up to the Supreme Court, either on the state or federal level. possibly even the appellate court, and they decide to look at it differently. But that is a good point. Okay. For you guys there. Paintball is one of those things that I liked to do before I started working all day, every day. Yeah, it's fun. Paintball is exciting because it hurts when you get hit, so you don't want to get hit, but I ended up always getting like lit up like Apocalypse Now, and it's pretty fun. And then I go back to the tax office with a bunch of bruises, and everyone thinks it's super cool. But I haven't been paintballing in a minute, like over a year. Okay. Don't tell me that John Wick dies. I haven't seen that movie yet. Now, honestly, he needs to die or something. Are they going to keep going on forever? How old is Keanu Reeves? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's eventually going to die of old age, even if he's whooping some ass on the way there. Okay. Here we go. Tax question. Perfectly. If I make $1 million in capital gains, forced to realize $450K tax, is there a way to retain gains, pay lower salary? Let me see. Is the rest of your question without a C corp, because 20% corporate doesn't help much? Well, okay. So basically, if you have capital gains, one surefire way to defer them and possibly eliminate them is by investing in an economic opportunity zone. So if you invest in an economic opportunity zone, the government says we can delay your accrued capital gains until you get out of the fund or the REIT or whatever it is. Or if you stay in it for 10 years, then you actually get your capital gains forgiven. So that is a possible way to do it. That's really the only way in that regard. You can also set up a type of trust or instrument or annuity that just gives you the money a little bit over time. I can help you out with that. Give me a call if you want. Or tax loss harvesting, right? So if you have crypto and it's down, wash sale it so we can offset your capital gains. Okay. I haven't filed for 4 years. I'm on a 1099 and probably owe 100K plus. Do you think you can help? We absolutely can help. You haven't filed for 4 years. The problem with being on a 1099 is that income is reported to the IRS. So the IRS knows how much they think you owe, and we can find out what that is. And then what we need to do is find out all your expenses. You have a bank account. You've been through it. We can go through and decide the money that is actually deductible against that 100K because you spent it to make that 100K. Because I bet even though you owe 100K, but I bet even though you made 400 or 500 grand in revenue, you probably don't owe it all in taxes because a lot of that money you put back into your business to make it grow. You had to buy things, you had expenses, et cetera, et cetera. That sounds like it's the case. We can definitely help, and you probably don't owe the full 100 grand. Not saying you don't owe anything, but we're going to make your tax liability as small as possible. Yeah, all right, tree grow guy. I'm not falling for that again. Let's see. Does a credit card cosigner get impacted on their score if the main holder doesn't pay the balance? It depends on the card, but with American Express, I would say no, and with Visa, yes. So there you go. Let's see. My guy always got some heat on his wrist. Let me pop it up. Quick wrist roll. Oh, here you go. This is the Royal Oak Classic 14,500. I got this in 2017 from the boutique for 17,500. You can't get it anymore for that, at least. Okay, he always been the smart twin. Who with the SPF? He's the dumb one. I'm telling you. What the hell, right? So like he just keeps getting in trouble. Now they're just mad at him because he was bribing Chinese officials, and it's like, look, when are you just gonna stop it so that they stop coming up with new things to charge you with? The guy wants to go to jail for the rest of his life. I swear to God, if he just kept his damn mouth shut, he wouldn't have 75% of the problem he has now. Probably more. CRT, is that what you mean? CRT, that's the one that the NFL players get from banging their heads too much, right? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you're saying you're my twin, except you have glasses. Well, I'll be your twin. That's perfect. That is perfect.
Oh, they're trolling you. It's a trend. They take your photo and they edit it to make it look like you're their twin. And
Oh,
then
nice.
They screen record it and then they put it on their own page that they troll you. They're trolling people.
Super clean and for retail badass watch. Thank you very much. I got, like I said, 2017 was when I first made a couple $100,000. I bought myself a present, but yes, absolutely. If you know that if watches is like stocks, you gotta think about it years in advance. And I was like, I think it's gonna be a good buy, and it was. Have you guys seen my Vicheron Constantine? I know I pronounced it wrong. Overseas, that one is I think gonna bump up next. I paid like $30 for it, and it's probably gonna be worth what this one is worth in a year or two. I believe it's part of the Holy Trinity. Okay, charitable remainder trust. Is that what you meant by entity that pays annually? No, I meant an installment agreement trust, but very similar. A charitable remainder trust would accomplish the same goal by giving, I think a charitable remainder trust would give you ordinary losses. So with capital, we're going to need something to either put it in, like I said, a REIT or a fund that does an economic opportunity zone. They're actually really easy to find. And then, if you haven't sold it yet, then we can put it into a tax deferral option, like an annuity or like a SEP IRA or something like that. And that would help you with not observing all those capital gains right now. But if you've already recognized that event and you owe capital gains, then yeah, you're either going to need some tax loss harvesting, which is possible right now, so keep that in mind, or we could do and charitable remainder trust is just you just have too much money in general and you need to get rid of that ordinary income. But installment agreement trust, because you don't receive it as capital gains until you actually receive it in your account through the trust, and as long as it pays out, then it will count. So okay, so what else? All right, so the banks, huh? What do you guys think about all these banks? Silicon Valley, Swiss Bank, even First Republic Bank, right? First Republic, was it? Here in California, and really it's kind of a if you remember 2008, what happened was all the big banks had to bail out all the other ones, and they literally decided which banks got to be too big to fail and which ones weren't. Now it appears that the same thing is happening, and they just use different words. Bailout's a bad word now. Too big to fail is a bad word. People don't, especially in America, in a capitalistic society, people don't like the idea that some businesses are so important that the government will literally bail them out and refuse to let them fail, when regular people, you guys, me, we have to go out there and fight for what we get, and the government ain't going to bail you out, right? So with that being said, it still is true that they did get, in a sense, bailed out, purchased by other banks, but it was all with money that all the banks have in this fund for this kind of thing. And so who really paid for it? Well, since it was all the major banks and that pay into the fund, and they're not going to take it off their bottom line, they're going to take it out of their customers' bottom line. So who pays for it? You and me, that's who. But that's how these things go down. We paid for it in 2008 as well. So nothing too new there, but the world does repeat itself, and it seems to be getting more and more cycling to a faster and faster rate where, if it keeps going like this, it's only been 10 years, right? I guess there's an economic depression every 10 years or so, but they seem to be getting worse. Okay. Trump got indicted. Is this the craziest thing ever or what? An ex-US sitting president I don't think it's a good idea. I mean, whether you like Trump politically or not, I don't think it's a good idea to arrest an ex-president. It's kind of makes us look like a banana republic. Like, do we have our shit together, or is it literally like the way out of office is going to jail? Like, listen, that's what happens in Russia. Putin's only way out is either a bullet or a jail or both, or trying to hide in a different country before the KGB poisons him. That's literally his only exit strategy. That's not supposed to be what happens to ex-US presidents, right? So, I mean, and come on, let's be real here. JFK had Marilyn Monroe, right? Bill Clinton had Monica Lewinsky. If you're the most powerful person on the planet, you are gonna, get the attention of the opposite sex at least, and that could be difficult, So I'm just saying, it doesn't seem that horrible to me. I mean, he could have been colluding with the Russians, but instead he was making whoopee with Stormy Daniels, whatever her name is. Now she's rich and famous. She built her life off this. So did Monica Lewinsky, and Marilyn Monroe was already famous, but that certainly didn't hurt it, right? So Dave Chappelle said something when he said, "Imagine being so famous that someone else is with you, and now they're famous," right? That's the presidency for you. Okay. Italian American says, "We are officially third world." Yes, my friend, and I'm talking to you here from Los Angeles, Southern California.
There was an article that came out that we've fallen down, and the United Nations said that they're very concerned about how much we've fallen.
I think that's right, but I was gonna take the next degree. You're here in California. It's definitely a third world country. There is a vast underclass. There's a few people on top with all the money, and there's no infrastructure. The police don't come. It's crazy. And yeah, the rest of the United States is becoming like this too. I just think we see it a lot here in California because for some reason our people voted for it. Okay. Sloppy Daniels. That's pretty funny. There you go. Tents on the street are disturbing. Yes, my friend. And I look out of my window and I can see half of LA, and there is tents everywhere. And it used to be when I moved here 15 years ago, it was Skid Row. Okay. Skid Row had tents. There's a few homeless people here and there. And then it kind of expanded. And now they're everywhere. It's like you can't even walk down the street. I mean, they're not in West Hollywood, really, and they're not in Beverly Hills, really. And I think that's just because those parts of town kicked them out. But right on the sides and the borders and everywhere they are. Oh, and they're not in the hills because I don't think they can climb. That's just my, theory. But you never see them up there. You see them right at the bottom of the hill, but not at the top. So that helps a little bit. But it is bad, and you're thinking like it's not good for anybody, for society, for our culture, for everyone's mental health, to be going to work in the morning and you got to pass like 15 tent cities with all these people that are, and at this point they're so advanced. It's like tent city. They've got little like mopeds and stuff in there. They've got TVs hooked up to freaking generators in these tents. It's like they have all sorts of stuff. It's literally like we ran out of housing projects and instead we're just letting them be on the sidewalk and build stuff. Some of these tents are wooden structures. It's ridiculous. And it seems like the police has stopped even clearing them out, because even when they clear them out, one day later, they're right back on the freeway on-ramps, under the bridges, on the sidewalks. And it's getting to the point where I wouldn't want to walk around at night in certain places because, who knows? It might be on drugs, might, be crazy, do some stuff. And if I was a female, I definitely wouldn't want to do it. I mean, I feel like you see these signs in LA that people have graffitied now that says LA is not safe. And they're right. I mean, it's like, it's even the nice parts of town, there are robberies and stuff like that. And it's very, very, very much a third world country scenario, like you were saying. And yes, they can't climb. And I know that's funny, but it's true. It's the only thing that's going to save you. But it's not going to save you from the guys that are going to rob you, because guess what? the hills are like one-way streets and they can just follow you up there and then you can't escape. So that's scary too, but whatever, right? It's not as bad as Tijuana. And it's a lot of fun down there too. But it's getting rough out here. Late last year, no one really paid attention to it, and it's making a little bit more headwaves now. A TIGTA audit into the IRS. You know what TIGTA is? That's the Treasury Inspector General of Tax Administration, okay, TIGTA. And they're basically like the FBI of the IRS. And now the difference between them being the FBI and like the DOJ of the IRS is they carry guns, but if they're investigating you, you're not 100% going to jail yet. You probably are, but not. But if CI, now they're called the Criminal Investigation Unit, if they show up, they've been following you, you're already going to jail. So anyways, these guys did an internal audit of the IRS, and what they had found was that due to the IRS's algorithms and the way that they decide to audit people, the IRS has been and continues to unfairly and disproportionately audit lower income taxpayers. It's really, in reality, two types of taxpayers get most of the audits, either low income or high income. And you would think it should at least be 50-50 or probably more of the high income ones, right? But it's harder to audit people that are wealthier and have more assets and corporations and different bank accounts and stuff going on that they can, hide their assets a lot easier from the IRS versus the low income group doesn't have that same kind of ability to do those things and access to adequate counsel. And so the IRS literally can rake them over the coals, and there's not really much they can do about it. So if that's happening to you, give me a call, because I do help out against that. Because listen, they're violating your rights, but the thing is, it's just like the police, right? The police can't search your car either, but if you tell them they can, now they can. So we have this concept of rights in America, but you have to assert them, otherwise you don't have them at all. And this kind of gets back to the First Amendment thing, which is an issue right now, right? Certain people have less than popular viewpoints. Suddenly they're not able to be on platforms like this one or other ones, right? And so that's kind of a chilling effect on free speech. It's not the type of speech that is popular, that everyone agrees with, that needs to be protected. It's the type of speech that people don't agree with, that people are scared of, that people are like, I don't know about that, it doesn't sound right. That's what needs to be protected, because that is, tyranny dies in the absence of, a populace tyranny lives, in the absence of a populace that has no freedom of thought, because it starts with speech, but then it becomes thought crimes. And you can see a lot of this happening with some of these movements out there where it's like you're guilty before even doing anything, because you might have these propensities to do something or not. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it because it's TikTok. Anyways, it's just an interesting world out there. Oh, what do you guys think about the TikTok congressional hearings? Entertaining, no doubt. I can't remember what was the name of the guy?
The bill failed.
Yeah, the bill failed. That's right. Yeah, well,
Josh Hawley.
Is that his name, Josh?
No, Josh Hawley spearheaded it, and then Chu, or I don't know.
Chu, was that his name? Chu.
Yeah.
He was entertaining. He was like, kabam, just Teflon Don on everything.
He really was. He was like, essentially, like they'd be like, why is blah 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 my daughter blah blah, and he's like, that's not about the app. That sounds like a personal problem. In so many words. It's like something to the effect of that. But so last week, just to bring you up to speed and the audience, Josh Hawley tried to spearhead a nationwide TikTok ban bill, and he needed unanimous votes to do it. And Rand Paul was the one Republican that was like, absolutely not. And so he's the one, now he's like famous on TikTok because he was like, this makes no sense to give one president that much power.
Rand Paul does some good stuff, It's like he's definitely done some weird stuff, but like the libertarianism, because it's like, you know, it's kind of in the middle. And the problem with this country is everyone, not everyone, but the people with the loudest voices that control everyone are either extremely far to the right or extremely far to the left. And the reality situation is most of you out there like me are somewhere in the middle. But the type of politics that we get pushed into, especially in a two-party system where it's extremely polarized, is one or the other. And that's an issue, right? Because that means every 4 to 8 years we have these giant swings in American culture as well as politics. And then we arrest our former ex-presidents, which again is weird. Whether you like him or not, it's like they didn't arrest Nixon and he stole millions of dollars and got people killed. Like, okay. You know, they were mad when Clinton did it, but you know, it's again, they impeached him, but they did not do but they let him stay out the rest of his day in office, and they did not target him criminally. So I don't know, it's just one of those things. It seems very politically motivated, and I think it's besides I think it's bad, makes America look bad on the world stage. I think the people who want to punish Trump are gonna not be satisfied when he gets even more popular because of this.
Oh, the polling numbers today?
Yeah.
He's already leading in the polls.
Yeah, now he's leading in the polls. You see, how did you guys not see this coming? You know what I'm saying? It was like, you can't arrest someone like Trump. He was stoked. He was like, get the cameras ready. You know that.
He was holding a press conference after his indictment.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally after.
And DeSantis, who's his running mate, said, running their, his rival for the Republican nomination, had said that he wouldn't they like our rivals, but he said he would not extradite him to New York. It was like, dang. I mean, when you have so many people on other sides of the aisle, because there was prominent Democrats too who were like, this is wrong, let's not do it. But and people who didn't even like Trump, but they agreed that was just weird.
Well, he went from 1 count to now he's being charged with 34 counts, which just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. It's whatever happened up there in that grand jury in New York. It's weird, but stay tuned because it'll be entertaining. Am I a millionaire? Sometimes. Let's see. Okay, so let's talk about this $30 million bribe that SBF paid, because 40. And now why that's, I was telling Anna here, why that is substantial is $40 million is the difference between the top 250,000 people on the planet in terms of wealth, which is like 0.00001% or something, maybe less than that, and everybody else. That's how concentrated and powerful the truly wealthy and elite are. That means if you have $45 million in cash, you technically are in the same category as Bill Gates, even though he's, by definition, 22,000 times richer than you, which, again, doesn't make sense because, you're not 22,000 times richer than someone in a class lower than you. That only exists in the extremely wealthy. But we have to be able to define these individuals, right? And so they call them ultra high net worth individuals, and it's the top 250,000 people on the planet. Remember, there's 8 billion people on the planet, 10 billion, something like that. So it's a very, very, very small group, and there's been some exposés on it, and it turns out, as you might imagine, because there's only 250,000 people that rich on the planet, their social group kind of is global, as opposed to being, hey, the people in your city that you live with, or the people this and that, because who else has that kind of wealth? So you got to find them, right? And where do they go? Formula One events, Monaco, yacht unveilings, these kinds of things, Art Basel, and that kind of stuff. Rich people love art, yachts, and Formula One racing, and that's just true.
Tell them about your art history.
Oh my gosh. All right, you want to hear some crazy art disaster? So if you guys know who Brendan Murphy is, I bought one of his Bungie Spacemen, and It was being installed on my wall, and the art movement company dropped it. And it came down, and it exploded, and it broke it was above the staircase. It broke 2 of the stairs and shattered part of the piece. And, it was $60,000. And so, yeah, that was upsetting. But they did successfully hang up 2 Nemo Jansons that I had. And now Nemo's great. Pointillism on point. But anyways, I'm still kind of going through that one. That was like 10 days ago, and I was like, hey, it's on the wall. They're coming. I'm come up the hill. They're still there. And they're like, uh-oh, did I tell you what was wrong? And I was like, what? And there it is, all broken on the ground. Staircase broken. Freaking, you know what I'm saying? So I had the gallery reach out to the artist, and he commissioned me a special one, actually, a different color that is unique. So that's cool. Obviously, I still had to pay for it. So I needed this art movement company to come through with the insurance claim because it was not cheap. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Do I have diabetes? I do not have diabetes, but I think if I don't cut out like the sugar, I'll probably get, what do they call it? The pre-diabetes? Isn't that what everyone has now? I don't know. You guys can enlighten me. Okay. I've bought $50,000 of Bitcoin on Cash App. Okay. I never sold. I always sent out to the other wallets. Okay. So I don't know if I have the complete thing that you're saying there. So you $50,000 in Bitcoin. You never sold. I always sent out to other wallets. So if you never sold it and you just moved it between wallets that you have, that's not a taxable event. Though when you bought it, that's your basis in case you need to wash sale it or decide when is proper to sell it. Now, if you gave it to a wallet that's not yours, even if it's still in Bitcoin, for goods or services, that would be considered a taxable event. So watch out for that. Now, if you gave it to somebody as a gift, your basis just became theirs, so they might end up with a taxable consequence, and that's how that works. Okay, if you're gonna troll, at least be funny. I guess somebody's trolling. I wasn't trolling. Never paid taxes. Am I in trouble? Not necessarily. You only owe taxes if you made, more than about $15,000 as a single or double that every year. And if you didn't, you just made Social Security or something like that, you may not owe taxes. But if you never filed your taxes, then the statute of limitations never closes, and the IRS and the state can go back as far as they want and decide that you owe them money for years and decades ago. So in order to prevent that from happening, it's at least advisable to file your taxes, because the IRS already knows you owe them money, because remember, the IRS only knows what you or somebody else tell them. So your boss or the company you work for, that's the person that's going to tell them how much they paid you. That's how they know. And so the IRS already knows. And so if you file, at least you are closing the statute of limitations, where you are going to put yourself in a position that if you wanted to, you could actually wait it out, because they only have 10 years to collect after they assess, which is about 13 years in general. So I always recommend file even if you can't pay, because that is what starts the statute of limitations. We'll have to pay taxes on the Bitcoin, I think you're talking about. If you just bought it and are holding on to it, you don't owe it. There's no taxable events. If it was if it was wrapped into another blockchain, if it was traded for another crypto, or if it was given to someone for goods or services, then it is going to be an income event to you, taxable event. But you could have sold it at less than you bought it for, in which case you would have a capital loss. Hey, Pablo Escobar. Hey, what's up? So, they thought they killed me in the 80s in Colombia? Where did Pablo Escobar die? Was it Venezuela?
I have no idea.
Guess what? I was hiding here the whole time. And yeah, it's all those Pablo Escobarian things is how I've maintained my looks 50 years later. No, I'm on this side of the border, so we can't engage in the same type of behavior. 50,000, probably bought 1K a week. Okay, remember, buying the crypto is not the taxable event. It's trading it or selling it. So from purchasing it, you're not going to have a taxable event unless that you traded it from like another crypto or stablecoin even to buy those. If that's the case, then it could be a taxable event as well. And just because it's a taxable event doesn't mean you're going to owe taxes on it. It just means it's recognized. The IRS is going to know about it. And technically, it's the law that you have to tell them. Whether or not you actually owe any taxes on it is a completely separate question. Will they come after me for taxes? Hey, you seen the news? They hired 87,000 IRS agents. They gave them something like 6 million rounds of ammunition and bought them like 100,000 guns. So like militarization of the IRS much? But yeah, they will come after you eventually. If you don't owe that much money, they probably won't come after you that hard for that long. But as I just said before, remember, you're statistically more likely to get audited for making less money than the average than making more. So this probably will happen, so be careful. Okay. What are great tax write-offs for 1099 people? Your car, the 3 martini lunch, which means having a business lunch that was prepared by a restaurant, not at home, because the 100% write-off, again, I think that ends this year. Biden might have extended it 1 year. I don't think he did. So take care of that this year. Remember, cost of goods sold, anything that is in a pursuit of your profit is by definition a tax deduction, unless there's some kind of cutout of the code that specifically says no. Like, for example, you went to Nordstrom's and bought an outfit that you could wear on the street because you think it makes you look cool on your TikTok show. Well, that's going to be a disallowed expense because you can wear it on the street. Now, if Nordstrom's gave you their clothes and said, review them and advertise them on our TikTok show, then that's a horse of a different color, and you can deduct that. Okay, let me know if you want any more. My uncle told me he found Bitcoins and to give me one if I paint his garage. Is it worth it? What's the Bitcoin at right now? I think it's at like $25,000 or something. Painting a garage for 25 grand? I would do it. I would just say, I would sell that Bitcoin because I don't really have too much faith that it's going to go up past that. But hell yeah, finish that garage now before it goes back down. Do I have to pay taxes on insurance inheritance? Life insurance, you should not have to pay taxes on that. If you got a fund like an IRA or an annuity, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. Because the person who you got the money from didn't pay taxes on it. So they already did pay taxes on it, and they've paid taxes on their life insurance, whatever they're called, payments, then that's fine. But if it's like you received an IRA or a 401k from somebody because they died and they had not distributed it yet, you are going to have to pay tax on that because they never paid taxes on it during their lifetime. So somebody's got to do it, and they passed the savings or lack thereof down to you. Okay. What about the Maybach tour? It's on YouTube right now, so check it out. Since, we don't know about the double T right now, we're on YouTube, on Instagram, but YouTube and Rumble right now, so check it out. YouTube is the one that's getting a lot of the shorter content because a lot of stuff is a lot bigger content, and so we're gonna change the mode here into like a longer podcast type thing than just talking for a minute or two. Okay. Fa la 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 la, Biden's world. It's true. We're in Biden's world until the regime changes again. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Biden is a one-termer. The whole reason people voted for him is because they didn't want the other guy. And that's been how politics has been for the last 3 or 4 elections is we don't like this person, so we're voting for this person instead. And I don't know if that's enough to re-win the election. We'll see. We will see. Okay. Where did I go to law school? So right behind me it says Southwestern Law School here in Los Angeles, where I got my JD. And then I studied tax law at Loyola Law School. And both of them I would absolutely recommend. If you are trying to get into law school, shoot me a DM or something and I'll lead you in the right direction. Just dropping in everywhere with a quick go Trump. I hear you, brother. And here's the thing. It's like they did this, like they're like, we don't like this person, so we're gonna make him extra famous and more relevant. It just doesn't make sense. Whether you like Trump or not, arresting him just makes him more powerful, and I actually think it's entertaining. I voted for Trump last time. I'll probably vote for him again, and he'll probably win. Okay, how do I get into a university without high school graduate transcripts? So I believe what you need to do, friend, is you need to take the GED test. It's a test. Did you take the GED?
I finished high school.
I didn't mean that way. I mean, like, someone around here took it.
I finished high school and then I went to college.
Yeah, no, someone...
I just am 9 credits, 3 classes shy of my degree.
Oh,
which
okay,
is why I'm
all right. So, no, I didn't mean that disparagingly, because I know people who were young, like 16 and very smart, took the GED and then went to college straight up. But if you never finished high school, or you don't want to finish high school, you can take the GED. It's the general education, general equivalency, something. And that will allow you to get into college. With a GED, you'll probably have to go to community college first for 2 years and get the equivalent of an associate's degree, and then you'll be able to transfer to university.
I think you have to take your SATs too.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take the SAT or ACT depending on what state you're in. And don't feel bad. Listen, you're getting there. I did graduate high school, but I took like a bunch of years off, and then I got back into college, so I had to go to community college as well, and that was great. And I spent 2 years there and 2 years at University of California, Irvine. Okay.
You went to UCI?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know I went to Irvine?
No.
Yeah.
It's such a good school.
Pro-choice or pro-life? I'm probably go with pro-choice on that one. I graduated high school at 16, but I could never get my transcripts. Yes, so you just need to take the GED. You don't have to take it at your high school. You can just take it at a testing center. It's a common test, and now you have an equivalency of a high school diploma. I think that's what it stands for, general equivalency diploma. I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong. Can you accelerate, or how can you accelerate your depreciation? Taxes, love it. So there are 2 major depreciation schedules. One is section 179, and one is called bonus depreciation. Now they act similar, but they're not the same thing. And all that really means is what the limits are and which one you can use to be better. And so let's take the example that everyone wants to do, which is I bought a G-Wagon or another super fancy and very, very heavy car, over 8,000 pounds, so can I bonus depreciate it? Absolutely you can. And remember, the thing, that means and with bonus depreciation, at least for this year, again, this is another thing that's year to year, you can take 100% in year 1. I think it's going to go back down to 80, but right now it's still 100. So take advantage of that. And remember, when you bonus depreciate something, it really only makes sense if it's something that you're planning on holding for a long time or not even selling. Because if you, let's say, sell that car next year after you took the depreciation, you have to recapture it. So it's going to be 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. Now, if you just want a new car every 3 years, I always tell you, just lease the sucker, because your lease down payment and every payment you make on that lease is a complete expense, and therefore it is a write-off to your corporation, because it doesn't have equity in it. Like when you purchase a car, you have equity. And so that's why you have to depreciate it. Now, even if you can't accelerate depreciation, you should know that properties all have a certain assets based on their class have a depreciation cycle. For example, a car has a 5-year depreciation cycle. That means the car is considered to be completely useless from a tax basis standpoint in 5 years, and you can depreciate the whole thing. Now, if you sell it for more than that, you still have to recapture it. You always have to recapture depreciation. That's why it's not as cool as a deduction. But that's one way of doing it. Office equipment like computers used to be 5 years. I believe they changed it to 3 because computer is really irrelevant after 1 or 2 years. 3 for sure. Horses you can depreciate over 7 years. I don't know how many of you that applies to, but there you go. Got a little, because I think in the horse racing and horse, trade, they said that, hey, listen, it takes a full 2 years to grow up or whatever, so now you can depreciate it over the next 5. Okay, I thought you're no longer considering SATs. Well, I already went to college, right? And law school and postdoctorate school. So no, I'm not taking any SATs, but I don't know whether I took the ACT anyways, because I went to high school in Illinois, and that's where they did it. And so whatever. And then I think when I came out here to California, they were like, you can take the SAT or you can just go to community college. And I was like, I'm just going to go to community college. Community college was close to the beach in Santa Monica. It was a lot of fun. Great time. Santa Monica College was great. Loved it. Thank you. Oh, yes. Thank you as well.
Don't forget to let them know people are saying by the phones.
Say again?
People are by the phones.
Oh, yeah. Just to remind you, I got people by the phones right now. If you need to file your taxes this year or have any other issues, give me a call. We'd love to help you out. Okay, if you get a divorce, you have to divide your 401k, and do you have to pay taxes? Okay, so that's gonna depend on what state you're in, on the division of it, and the divorce. If it's community property state like California, Texas, Nevada, Wisconsin, the entire West Coast in Wisconsin, then yeah, absolutely. If you earned it while you were married, it's half of your spouse's as well. And the other part of your question is the taxes. Well, here's something that I see a lot, and don't become my client this way, or do, but I'm warning you, is everybody in their divorce decree with their divorce attorney and their ex-spouse divvies up who's going to get what and who's going to pay what in taxes. But guess who doesn't care? The IRS does not care that you said that you and your husband agreed that he was going to pay the taxes, or that your spouse was going to pay the taxes and you did this, and for that reason you gave up some piece of property or consideration for them paying the taxes. IRS doesn't care. It's both joint and several liability, meaning while you were married and you accrued that debt, you owe the money. And if it was split up, you still owe the money. So until you are filing single again, or at least filing single, yeah, you're going to be jointly, severally liable for your spouse's liability, even if you decide in the divorce that you're not. It's not powerful enough. The U.S. government doesn't care what your divorce decree says. Okay. Well, let me find. Hey, Gummy Bear. All right, you like the color? Is it gummy bearish? I like it. All right. Oh, this is an interesting one. Okay. Are you also pro-choice of the father being able to opt out of child support if declared before birth? That's interesting. I feel like, as a man, if I do get a woman pregnant and she has the kid, then yeah, I have to pay child support. I shouldn't be able to opt out of it. Now, my sister had had a child when she was 19, and the husband didn't want to be in the picture, and they legally signed him away. It's no longer his son, and it's now my sister and her husband that she has now, son legally, because the ex or the stepdad or whatever signed away his rights, and which was also her right to collect child support from him, because she would rather not have him in her life than deal with the BS and not get the child support payments. And it wasn't that much anyways. So he just she just wanted to get rid of him out of her life. And I think it was a great choice for the child, because his real father now takes care of him and his mother, and a very happy family. And the other guy was not really wanting to be in the picture. Equal rights equals pro-choice square, the opportunity to opt out of pregnancy, child support. I hear you there. I hear you, but I don't think that's how it works, because we don't have the vagina, my friend. Okay. Do you know anything about commodity trading taxes? Well, yes. So if you're trading commodities, you're either going to have capital gains, or depending on the type of commodity and futures contract, it could be and then this is going to be like Forex too, or currency exchanges, stuff like that. You have a combination of capital gains and ordinary income, or capital, or short-term and long-term. Short-term is treated like capital, but blah, blah, blah. And so depending on what you're trading, if it's money, it's 40-60, I believe, ordinary to capital gains. I'd have to look that up. It's either 40-60 or 60-40. I think it might be 60-40. 60-40 ordinary capital gains. I think it is. And then everything else is just going to be capital gains. Did you do an LLM? Where? So I studied my LLM at Loyola Law School, and I did not complete it. I would like to go back to complete it, but it's an interesting story. When I first got to my LLM program, I noticed that the professor did not have the LLM in the subject either. And I asked him, I was like, how come you didn't get an LLM in the subject that you're teaching, especially at a high tier school like, Loyola is a top 10, top 5 tax school in the country. This guy was he was the managing member of Ernst & Young. Like, he was an impressive motherfucker. He would just be like on his phone and be like, oh, I just made $250,000 on a paper I wrote last night. Like, this guy was impressive. And he said that his whole purpose for getting an LLM was to learn the tools necessary to make money. And he said, once I started making money to him was being defined as he makes $16 million a year on a salary at Ernst & Young, that he no longer needed to go to school. And I was like, wow, that's a really interesting way of looking at it, because the whole reason everyone's going to school is to make money, right? So I guess I kind of thought the same way, but if I had a little bit of free time, I probably would finish it, because I am kind of an academic junkie, to be in a sense. Whiteboard Liquor says, hi, how is your day? I am doing okay. Glad to be here with you guys with a little bit of live. Haven't done it in a while. We're going to do this every Friday now. I know it's Monday, but you got a bonus day. But we're going back to Fridays. Fridays, I will be here, and you guys can tell me about your week, and I can tell you about mine. Okay, hold on. What's the lowest tax rate in California? How much can you make? That's a good question. I'm usually stuck on the other end of that bracket. It's the problem. Let's see. Okay, it's 1% if you make up to $11,000. So look, California gets theirs even if you don't owe any federal taxes. So that's crazy. 2% is 10 to 23. 4% is 20 to 40. 6% up to 52,000. And then 8% up to 66, and then it jumps to 9.3 from 66 up to 340,000. That one seems a bit unfair. Like $66,000 to 340, there's a huge gap there. Anyways, the next one is 340 to 400. So again, The gap of $280,000 was between 8 and 9.3%. $60,000 and $340,000. The next gap is only $60,000 to 11.3%, and then the highest one is 12.3% at $680,000 or more. So as you can see, at least according to the state of California, the big divider is the 9.3%, the people who make basically over $66,000, but less than $340,000. That's who they're making all their money off of. And that's the middle class right there. Okay. So yeah, what do you think about that? It's crazy, huh? And like, that's just income tax. They have separate capital gains tax, property tax. It's crazy. And where does it all go to? Every time I drive down the road, there's 1,000 potholes and a bunch of homeless people. What the hell? Okay. Loyola in Maryland. No, Loyola in downtown LA. It's called Loyola Marymount, but it's not in Maryland. It's called Loyola Marymount. That's the general school, and then their law school, which is held in high esteem, is just called Loyola Law School, and it's in Los Angeles. Okay. I'm talking about physical commodities. Can you write off customs tax or fees or transportation costs? Again, if you are bringing something into the country, bringing it out of the country to make money, a lot of the tariffs, those are taxes that you're going to have to pay, fees to ship the stuff, fees to get it into this, fees to get it out of that. These are all going to be deductible expenses. Now, whether it's happening on the federal level or the state and local level actually matters, because since 2017, your SALT deduction has been limited to $10,000, which is less than the standard deduction. Meaning, unless you're a corporation and you can use the $10,000, you're not going to be able to use that $10,000 unless you have another at least $3,000 to beat the standard deduction, and even then you're only beating it by like $1,500 or something. They put that into place this is actually one of the most effective ways to tax rich people, is by limiting the state and local tax deduction. Because what a lot of rich people do is they have a big ass house, they paid a bunch of property taxes, and they used to be able to write it all off on their federal tax return. They can't do that now. The business can. You've got employees that you're paying on the state and local level, but remember, it's extremely limited. Now, if you're getting into America from outside, or moving outside America, and you're going across the country's lines, and that's a different kind of tariff. I hope that answered your question. Okay, where am I from? Well, I've lived in LA for 15 years now, so I say I'm from here. But I was born in Texas, and I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, in the suburbs. But now I live in the Hollywood Hills, and I've lived here for a long time. Okay, what is the rest of your question? Okay. Who's making their money off them? I missed it. I don't know the rest of your question, but I'd love to speculate. Can I be a client of yours if I make $70K? Absolutely. The only requirement to be a client of mine is you either have to file your taxes, because we file taxes, or you want to pay less in taxes, or you owe money, because what I specialize in is making people pay the least amount of taxes possible. It doesn't matter if you're making nothing, just Social Security. If you owe more than you can afford to pay back, or they're trying to claim that you do, or you're planning on making more money, I can help you. If you're just going to be at $70K forever, we can make sure that you're doing the things in your life to make sure you're paying them the least amount as possible and preparing for your future the most. And that's what it's all about. Okay, and yes, please give me a call right now. I got people on the phone ready. You can also fill out the form on the landing page in the profile. Okay, what time is it? All right, let's see. If one of my companies makes money, can I borrow money from that company or another company I own? Ho ho, bet your damn skippy you can. E. Rodriguez 123. You have just found one of the greatest tax loopholes in the system. I personally do this all the time because guess what? You got to pay the piper one way or another. But if your corporation pays, then your corporation can loan that money to you or anything else. And remember, a loan is an income because you have to pay it back. So if the corporation makes $1 million and only pays 21% on that because they're a corporation instead of 37, and then that corporation turns around and lends me with a legitimate note and I'm paying the AFR interest rate, then I just got $1 million that I don't have to pay tax on because it's a loan, and either one or two things are going to happen. It's going to get refied till I die, and then my estate will have to pay it, or the corporation will eventually call it, and then I will have cancellation of debt income. But deferral is always a win, remember, and B, you can keep these things going on forever. Everybody that has a corporation does this. It's one of the key ways to avoid double taxation besides giving yourself a salary on a W-2. Okay. But that's a great way to do it, actually. So good job. Okay, I think you're saying Daddy Trump normalized hate, fear, and division, lying, and destroyed the social fabric of America. Thank you. See, this is about discourse. We want to have different opinions here. That's great. Whether that's true or not, I still think he shouldn't have been indicted. Okay. If I store commodities, can I write off depreciation if the price goes down? No, I don't think so. I think you have to store them until the price goes back up again. I recently am getting into cashews. And basically, if we grow a bunch of cashews and the price is not right, we just wait at the port to sell them until the price goes up. Okay, I like this question. Haven't done my taxes yet. Can I claim my dog? My mother asked me this question too. And here's the thing is if you have a business and it's a guard dog, you could in fact write off certain expenses related to that dog. It's food and whatever. If it is a guard dog or something like that, or it's doing something in a business sense, like, you're probably not a cop, but if you were like a cop with those dogs work. So let's say you have a dog that's working like that to do something. Maybe you're trying to find stuff or whatever. That it's not the dog wouldn't be a dependent, but you would be able to write off the costs associated with the dog, or at least a percentage of it if it also was your pet. And E. Rodriguez, through a promissory note? Yes, through a promissory note. It's called a shareholder note. And if you type in shareholder note, into Google, you'll be able to find a template right up there. If you want help, we pump them out all day here, and we can help you out. But yes, it's a shareholder note. It's a promissory note between the corporation you own and you that you will, in fact, pay it back interest. And I recommend that you do pay it back interest because that's going to be 4.5%, 5% less, which is, a hell of a lot less than 37%, or even 20% if it was counted as a dividend. Okay. If your parents gave you the $11K each, that does not go to capital gains, right? Okay. So I think you're talking about is he talking about hire your children tax strategy?
Or is he talking about gift tax?
Oh, if you're talking about gift tax, it's $15K now every year. It's in fact, is it 16 now? It was 15 last year. It might be 16, but it's 15 or 16 for gift tax. And if your parents are married and they're married filing jointly, they're only going to be able to give you $11K because they're one taxpayer. If they're not married or they're married filing separately, then they can give you $15K each. Now, if you're talking about the hire your kid strategy, you could pay your child up to the standard deduction and be able to double write that off, both on you're writing it off on your taxes and they get to take the standard deduction. Okay.
2 minutes till your call, or 1 minute till your call.
Okay. Well, I have to make a phone call, guys, but it has been fun. Let me see if I can rapid fire answer some of your questions. Service dogs should be allowed on taxes. Service dogs would be allowed on Schedule A. Again, probably not the cost of the dog unless you bought it that year, but definitely the training classes, the vest, that kind of stuff would absolutely be allowable. If I'm a day trader, can I still retire off my guard dog? Hey, if you have an office setup where you need a guard dog, you could be doing whatever kind of business you want, right? Just make sure it's legitimately a guard dog. Can you look at my case and use my tax as an example of what to do? I'll email all my forms in. Yeah, call us at the number and on the thing, and you can send everything in. We'll help you out. Filing 4 years, perfect. Love to help you out. Accountant, Juris Doctor, and tax guy, like it says in the thing. Okay, guys, it's been great. I have to make a phone call. Au revoir.